Select from the following statements the one that is true for the graph below. So we have a list of 5 statements here. Let's analyze them with respect to this graph. First, we have the acceleration during the first second is uniform and greater than 0. So if we look at the first second here, so this part of the graph, we see that the slope of the line is constant, which means on a displacement versus time graph that the velocity is constant, since slope represents velocity. If the velocity is constant, that means that no acceleration is involved, since acceleration is a change in velocity with respect to time. So if there was an acceleration during this first second, the curve might look like this or like this, but there would be some kind of curvature to the graph. So this first statement is not true. Next, we have the velocity between t equals 1 seconds and t equals 3 seconds is uniform and greater than 0. So that's referring to this part of the graph. As you can see, the slope of the line is constant, meaning that the velocity is constant. However, the slope of the line is also 0, meaning that the velocity is 0, or in other words, the object is at rest 20 meters from its original location. So for that reason, this statement is not true. It says that the velocity is uniform and greater than 0. While it is uniform, it is not greater than 0. Now, if we look at the next statement, the acceleration between t equals 3 and t equals 5 is negative. So that refers to this part of the graph. We can see that the slope, and therefore the velocity, is constant and negative. However, there's no acceleration involved because this line segment is not curved. So if acceleration were involved, the line segment would be curved, maybe something like that for a negative acceleration. So that statement is also incorrect. Next, we have the distance traveled between t equals 1 second and t equals 2 seconds is greater than the distance traveled between t equals 0 seconds and t equals 1 second. So it says that the distance traveled between t equals 1 second and t equals 2 seconds is greater than the distance traveled between t equals 0 seconds and t equals 1 second. And of course, this is also untrue. So if you look at the red portion of the graph, we see that the object is at rest, as I mentioned before, meaning that it doesn't travel at all. And during the blue portion of the graph, the object travels a 20-meter displacement. So this statement is false. It should be reversed if we want it to be true. So the object travels a greater distance between 0 and 1 second than it does between 1 second and 2 seconds. So this statement is also incorrect, meaning that none of the above are true. So that's the best answer for this problem.